Well, Sky News has spoken with the family of a grandmother who was shot and killed by the Israeli Defense Forces, leaving her family with, as they say, no choice but to fight back. From the city of Nablus, Yusa El-Bagir reports.
It doesn't take long to find the funeral of a much-loved matriarch in a tight-knit neighborhood. 8-year-old Halima was killed in an IDF raid, and her surviving daughters are not new to this grief.
6 shots at an elderly woman? Where is the humanity in the Israelis? Where is the humanity? They killed children in Gaza. How can they have humanity for an old lady?
She says her 21-year-old son was killed last year, and his brother is in prison. Both loyal to growing militancy here in the West Bank that the Israeli military calls terrorism, but her and her brother say is their only option.
There is no choice but resistance, because they have forced our hand. We don't go to them, they come to us. They target us. They come to our homes and kill our children, our fathers, our mothers.
He takes us to where his mother was shot. And on the way, portraits commemorate militants of different armed factions beyond Hamas. Many of them killed off in raids that have increased since October 7th. She came here to buy groceries, he says, and then the Israelis fired at her. From there, he takes his son to Friday prayer, seeking solace in God after a week of hell. The community's in a constant state of mourning here. And even as they leave the mosque after praying for the dead, they're left to look at the wreckage from the raids that killed their loved ones. Surveillance footage shared by a Palestinian news site claims to show Israeli forces in the area, firing into an alley and then moving in. The IDF sent us this footage from the operation, which they claim shows armed terrorists in their vicinity. We approached the IDF about 8-year-old Halima's death, and this was their response. The IDF conducted a counterterrorism activity to apprehend an individual suspected of terror activity in Nablus. IDF soldiers engaged in exchanges of fire with terrorists who opened fire and hurled explosives towards IDF soldiers. The IDF is aware of the reports that during the exchanges of fire with the terrorists, uninvolved civilians present in the area were harmed. Hours later, in the light of day, the streets are marked by the scars of confrontation. Militants here in hiding after 2 days of back-to-back raids. And civilians, far from the Hamas stronghold in Gaza, are showing support for their neighborhood fighters. This man tells us he's lost loved ones to raids and imprisonment. He says armed young men offer little defense against IDF military machinery. What can an M16 do to a tank? As diplomats scramble to negotiate peace in Gaza, tension continues to build in the West Bank. The polarized politics of Israel and Palestine. 2 fingers in a peace sign, and one on the trigger. Yusa El-Bagir, Sky News in the West Bank.